In this tutorial we'll focus on different methods used by the ArrayList class. So we'll specifically focus on the add method and the remove method. So if we print now I have created a ArrayList which consists of fruits. So I have used the add method which we discussed in the previous tutorial, and I have added apples, mangoes, bananas and lemons, so using this method. So now if I print this list, you can see that my apples, mangoes, bananas and lemons have been printed out. So that is the add method that we learned. So let us do a different variation to this add method. So the other variation is, let's say I want to add now I want to add a value inside the fruits array list. So I want that array element to specifically go into a particular index. Now array lists follow the same principle behind arrays. They start with the index of 0 and gradually increase their value. So apples is in the 0th index, mangoes is in the first index, bananas is in the second index and lemons is in the third index. So the same principle applied to arrays applies to ArrayList. So let's say I want to enter an element into the ArrayList into the first index. I want to enter an element to the first index. So there is a way to enter the element that we would require into a particular index that we specify. So if you write on the object reference fruits, which is the reference of this array list that we created, fruits dot add. If we wait for the dot separator, you can see, if I type add, you can see there are two add methods. One add method is using a string argument, it's accepting an argument as a string, and the other add method is accepting an index and a string argument. So this is what we've used so far. So this is the method that we use to add elements inside an array list. So we'll use the other method to add something inside the array list. So you can see that this method same as this one, but accepts two different arguments. So this is a completely different method compared to this. The compiler treats this method and this method as two different methods. So over here, let's say I want to enter oranges instead of mangoes. I want, over here I have the first index, so instead of mangoes I want oranges to come to the first index. So I can do that. I can specify the first index and I can pass oranges. Let me just type orange, and if I do this and I have a sys out, if I print this now, you can see that oranges will be placed in the first index. Earlier mangoes was in the first index. Now we have explicitly used the add method to insert oranges into the first index. We are inserting oranges into the first index. Now oranges have replaced mangoes. Now what has happened to mangoes? The mangoes which was in the first index is now pushed into the second index. So that is what this add method does. Whenever we add something explicitly into the array list, we specify a particular index and we want to enter a particular element to that specific index. The values that was previously in that specific index that we mentioned will be pushed to the latter. They will be pushed to a higher index, an increment of it. So earlier mangoes was in the first index, now mangoes is in the second index because it was pushed by oranges. So that is the another it's another variation of the add method from compared to what we learned earlier. And the other method that we'll be using is the remove method. So in the remove method, let me just delete this for the moment. So if I want to remove a particular element, I can use the remove method. So let me remove bananas. So I'll write fruits dot remove. So over here this is accepting a string, so all I can do is I can specify the name of the element that I want to remove. So if I want to remove bananas, I just specify banana. So and then I'll have another sys out and I'll pass fruits over here. So if I run this, you can see now bananas have been removed from our second array list. Previously we had bananas, now we only have 3 elements. Previously we had 4 elements, now we have 3 elements. So another thing that you can see over here is you can see that the array list, depending on the elements that we added inside the array list expanded its size dynamically at runtime. We didn't have to specify our array list has 4 elements or 5 elements like what we do in an array. So dynamically our array list expands and shrinks according to the amount of elements that we add or remove. So that is one feature of the array list. So now we removed an element banana from the array list using the remove method. Now let's try a different variation of the remove method. The other variation is what we do is we specify the index. We use the index. So let's say I want to remove apples. So apples is in the 0th index. So if I want to remove apples, I would specify the 0th index, and then when I run this method, you could see that apples have been removed. There are only 3 elements in the array list right now. So in this tutorial we covered the add and remove methods. In the upcoming tutorial we'll discuss more methods associated with ArrayList. Thank you.